The most unsettling moments in life aren't when things fall apart, but when they stop responding. It's when everything goes still. No signs, no resistance, no confirmation. Just an eerie silence where reality feels distant and almost indifferent. This quiet is more uncomfortable than chaos, because chaos gives the mind something to react to. But silence, it gives the mind nothing to hold on to. And if you're honest, that stillness can make you feel like you're stuck, like nothing is happening, even though deep down you know something is. It's like you're doing everything right, following the steps, visualizing, staying positive, and yet reality isn't showing any signs of moving. Conversations fall flat, manifestation practices feel empty, and the universe seems to have stopped listening. It feels like a void, a place where progress disappears. But here's the truth. This isn't emptiness, it's preparation. The universe isn't ignoring you, it's making room for something new. You're on the brink of a shift, and that shift needs space to breathe. This phase of quiet doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means the quantum field is getting ready to reorganize itself. Think of it like this. Systems don't change through constant stimulation. They stabilize, compress, and quiet down. The more complex the shift, the more silence you experience beforehand. The feedback you once relied on disappears, not because the universe is punishing you, but because it's consolidating your direction. It's aligning things in the background, waiting for you to stop reacting, to stop asking for signs. And this is where most people make the mistake of interpreting this silence as delay or failure. They assume something is wrong when in fact everything is aligning perfectly in the background. This is where most people give up or overreact. The silence is not a sign of lost alignment, it's a sign of refinement. When you stop desperately seeking answers, when you stop emotionally reacting to the lack of external feedback, you create space for the universe to match your energy. The field goes silent before movement happens, and this silence is essential for the shift you're about to experience. When your internal frequency isn't scattering energy across multiple timelines, that's when things start to align. It's when old fears no longer demand your attention and old desires lose their emotional charge. You're no longer reacting to external circumstances because you've learned that reaction isn't alignment. Alignment is coherence, and coherence is silent. When you reach this phase, you may notice something subtle. You're not desperate for answers anymore. Not because you've figured everything out, but because the need to figure it out has dissolved. You're no longer emotionally attached to any particular outcome. You're less reactive to what used to matter. You're not trying to force things into place. That's the quiet before the storm. But it's not a storm of chaos, it's a storm of clarity. The kind of clarity that only arises after the noise is cleared away. In this stillness, the universe is not ignoring you, it's reorganizing probabilities. It's aligning them in your favor, but it can't do that if you keep pulling at the fabric of reality, expecting it to shift to your timeline. So, this quiet is your invitation to stay grounded, to stop seeking confirmation, to stop checking for signs that your manifestation is working. When you do this, you create the stability the universe needs to match you. This is not a passive phase, it's an active recalibration. Your nervous system is learning how to stay steady, calm, and present without constantly checking if things are aligning. And once this stability settles in, that's when the field begins to respond.
Now, here's the tricky part. Most people, when they feel the silence, think they're failing. They feel the lack of feedback and panic, thinking they're doing something wrong. But in reality, what they're feeling is the discomfort of change. Your old self is resisting the stillness because for so long you relied on noise to know you were making progress. But now, progress doesn't look like constant activity. It looks like stillness. And when the universe begins to reorganize itself around your new energy, the first thing it does is remove interference. It stops feeding you signals because it no longer needs your reaction. It needs you to be stable, to be present, to be calm. This is why the moment the field goes silent, everything changes. The silence is not empty. It's full of potential. It's where the shift happens. And when you finally understand that the field goes silent right before your shift, you'll know that the movement you're waiting for is already on its way. All you need to do is trust that the silence is part of the process, not a sign of failure. Once the silence ends, things begin to move decisively, not because you did more, but because you stopped interfering. When the silence clears, the field doesn't hesitate. It moves, and it moves with precision. You don't have to ask for confirmation anymore. You don't have to check if it's working. You just have to remain steady, allow the field to respond, and watch how everything starts aligning naturally. As the silence begins to lift, you may notice subtle changes happening around you. Things that once felt difficult or distant start to align effortlessly. Opportunities begin to appear, not in a chaotic rush, but in a natural flow. Conversations shift to the right places, decisions become clearer, and things that once seemed impossible start falling into place. The key here is that it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels simple, easy, and calm. It's the moment when you realize that everything you were striving for has always been within your reach, but it couldn't manifest until you stopped trying so hard to make it happen. This is the moment where many people confuse the shift for a small, inconsequential event. They don't see the massive change happening because it feels so natural. It's like a door that opens gently without the usual effort. The quiet phase prepares you for this exact moment. The discomfort you felt in the silence wasn't a sign of something being wrong, but of something deep within you shifting. And now, as things begin to unfold, you can look at your life with a new perspective. You no longer have to force outcomes or monitor every step. You can allow the flow of life to guide you instead of constantly pushing for control. The shift isn't just about external circumstances changing. It's about your internal shift aligning with your external world. When your energy, emotions, and thoughts align with the present moment, everything around you starts responding in kind. You don't need to manipulate reality. You simply need to stop interfering with it. This is where many people go wrong. They think that once the silence ends, they must jump into action, but that's not true. The key now is to remain steady. The field has already reorganized and the momentum is building. Your role is not to rush the process, but to stay aligned with it. In the next part of this process, we will explore how to maintain this alignment without falling back into old patterns. The world will begin responding to you more directly, but if you don't stay steady, you might disrupt the very shift you've been waiting for. Trusting the process is key, and as long as you remain grounded, the universe will continue to meet you exactly where you are. You'll notice that the more you stop chasing outcomes, the more things begin to come toward you effortlessly. The shift has already happened, and now you simply need to live in it. This is the state where everything you've been working for begins to manifest, not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. The universe works with you, not against you, and when you stop interfering, everything starts to flow naturally.
As the shift begins to unfold, you will notice a significant change in how you experience the world around you. It's no longer about seeking validation, approval, or answers from the outside. The external world may start to mirror your inner state in ways that feel almost surreal. What once seemed difficult or unattainable begins to flow with ease. Opportunities appear when you least expect them, and decisions that once felt hard now seem obvious. However, this change won't feel dramatic or overwhelming. It will feel natural,
almost like you've stepped into a version of reality where everything just fits perfectly. The quiet phase was crucial in preparing you for this moment. It taught you to let go of the need to control, to force, or to manipulate outcomes. And now you are living in the results of that letting go. The universe is no longer responding to your urgency or emotional charge. It's responding to the calm, centered energy you've cultivated. Your internal state is aligned with the reality you want, and now everything around you is shifting to match that. But here's the thing. The moment you feel this shift, there's a temptation to fall back into old habits. You may feel the urge to take action or start pushing again because that's how you've always thought things worked. However, the key to sustaining this alignment is to remain steady and not rush to fill the space with activity. This is where many people falter. They mistake the absence of dramatic change for a sign that something is wrong, but in reality, it's a sign that everything is moving exactly as it should. It's easy to think that when the universe stops providing immediate feedback, you need to force something to happen. You might find yourself wanting to check for signs, revisit old strategies, or doubt the progress you've made. But this is where you must resist the urge to intervene. The universe is already working in your favor, and the more you try to control the process, the more you will disturb the natural flow of things. This is why remaining aligned is so important. You must learn to live from a place of trust, knowing that everything is already unfolding perfectly. This doesn't mean you stop taking action. You will still take steps, but they will no longer come from a place of need or desperation. They will come from a place of inspired clarity. The universe doesn't require you to constantly check in, measure your progress, or push for results. It requires you to stay present, to be steady, and to trust that the shift has already occurred. When you do this, everything around you will start to align with ease. As you move forward, you will notice that life feels less like a series of challenges to overcome and more like a dance where you are in perfect rhythm with the universe. This is where manifestation happens effortlessly, not because you're trying to make it happen, but because you're no longer interfering with the process. The universe isn't testing you, it's matching you. It's responding to your alignment. And when you stay aligned, everything begins to shift naturally. In the next part, we will explore how to maintain this state of alignment, even when life starts moving quickly again. The key to sustaining your manifestation isn't in doing more, but in doing less, by allowing things to unfold naturally, without forcing, without urgency, and without second-guessing yourself. When you learn to live in alignment with the universe, everything starts coming to you effortlessly, and that's when the true magic happens.